Welcome back to Vox Terra. Today, brothers and sisters, I want to start with a quote from the Bible. Blessed are the peacemakers. Another, as you do to the least among you, so you do to me. And I will also be referencing Noam Chomsky. My main citation for today is from an Ohio State University website publication, Origins, Current Events and Historical Perspectives. The article, Hiroshima, Military Voices of Dissent, by Leo O'Malley III and Uday Honan, July of 2001. Yes, it's an older article, but it's really relevant. Numero uno, just let that title sink into your head. Military Voices of Dissent. So one of the things you want to look for this lifetime are these voices that are dissenting, and you don't have to go all the way to some conspiracy woo-woo-woo sources. What I do, and this I got inspired from reading Noam Chomsky's book, Manufacturing Consent, I look for so-called mainstream figures, established figures, who are coming out for peace or going against the dominant industries or the dominant thinking, but they're just downplayed in history or downplayed in media. So listen to this great bit of writing from that article. Indeed, contrary to conventional opinion today, many military leaders of the time, including 6 out of 7 5-star officers, criticize the use of the atomic bomb. Well, how often do we hear that? One really important one cited is President Dwight Eisenhower, the Allied commander in Europe during World War II, recalled in 1963, as he did on several other occasions, that he had opposed using the atomic bomb on Japan during a July 1945 meeting with Secretary of War Henry Stimson. I told him, he didn't really sound like that, I'm just doing that voice, I was against it on 2 counts. First, the Japanese were ready to surrender, and it wasn't necessary to hit them with that awful thing. Second, I hated to see our country be the first to use such a weapon. Another important thing to know about Eisenhower, later to become President Eisenhower, is he should be famous, and every school kid, every American should know his quote about the military-industrial complex, where he warned about that revolving door between government, military, and the defense industry. Warned about it. Well, now getting back to Noam Chomsky, who I mentioned to you earlier, it was reading his work, Manufacturing Consent, where I realized that power of dominant industry doesn't just extend to the government in isolation, it extends to our media, and then our whole thinking. The article also cites Admiral William Bull Halsey, the tough, outspoken commander of the U.S. Third Fleet. That fleet participated in the American offensive against the Japanese home islands in the final months of the war. And Bull stated, the first atomic bomb was an unnecessary experiment. The Japanese had put out a lot of peace feelers through Russia long before. Again, he probably didn't sound that way, I'm just doing that voice. They also cite Admiral William Leahy, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the war. Leahy wrote in his 1950 memoirs, the use of this barbarous weapon at Hiroshima and Nagasaki was of no material assistance in our war. The Japanese were already defeated and ready to surrender. Moreover, Leahy continued, in being the first to use it, we had adopted an ethical standard common to the barbarians of the Dark Ages. I was not taught to make war in that fashion. So funny voices aside, my point here is not to argue if we had held off, what would have happened? A, negotiate a truce. B, stay conventional but wait for the Soviets to show up. Or C, debate the brutality of the short-lived Japanese empire. Because we'll just bog down. The dominant narrative is really one-sided, and it's very easy for people to just repeat a comment like that, like how terrible Japan was, we know that, and then walk away feeling smart, but missing my bigger point. My goal is to show you, the way Noam Chomsky showed me, that voices of peace and negotiation, even those coming from the so-called establishment, are underemphasized in our media. It's the winner-take-all voices that get put on a pedestal and are amplified. And this tendency makes us all worse off. You know, when I opposed that invasion of Iraq, my coworkers, my fellow countrymen, a lot of people were really mad at me. They had it all figured out. One-sided narrative. The voices opposing it from the establishment downplayed. And really with any of these conflicts, this could still be the 1850s and the wars against the Indians. And do you think if we were having that argument back then that the media was going to amplify voices of peace? Or do you think they're going to amplify this terrible atrocity that happened to some pioneer family? And then a lot of people are going to use that as a way to shut up people who are arguing for negotiation and peace with the Indians. And who was served? Who was served in that war then in the 1850s? Railways for sure, and the defense industry of the time. What interests are served today by underemphasizing peace? Well, for sure the fossil fuel industry and the defense industry. What others? What about aspects of the tech industry? Look, our planet is heating up due to a process set in motion by the excessive burning of fossil fuels. Everything's destabilizing. It's not safe. It never was, but it's less safe now than ever to just keep having these one-sided narratives and atomizing people into warring camps. You don't need to go to some bizarro conspiracy land stuff and start telling me they're not telling us this and that. You just look for the underemphasized voices for peace. That's why I cited you in an earlier one, Henry Kissinger. Many consider a warmonger, but now he's out there warning against this really hardline, aggressive stance against Russia and China. Yet he's underemphasized. Again, winner take all on a heating planet is not a good way to go. Well, hey, I hope you found this analysis helpful, interesting. And if so, please make sure you're subscribed, you're commenting, you're liking. Thank you to my two patrons at Patreon, Bella Grissi and Environmental Coffee House. And until next time, and as always, peace be with you.